On September 15, 2016, former 45-year-old band teacher Kenyon Rogers pled guilty to the crime of sexually abusing a 13-year-old child. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison along with coinciding sentence of 25 years. He would not be eligible for release until the 30-year mark. No less than 6 months later, another teacher-student scandal was unveiled. Alexandria Vera was found having inappropriate relations with one of her 13-year-old male students. They found that intercourse was almost a daily affair and it resulted in the pregnancy of Alexandria. She was sentenced to 10 years with eligibility for release in 5 years. It's been said that under the eyes of the law, justice is blind. However, it has become more apparent that might not be the case. It is imperative that we strive as a society to uphold our pillars of morality and uphold the law in a fair and balanced way. I have looked closely at incidents involving teacher-student relations over the past several months and sought out possible solutions to how we can both curb this problem as well as bring those who participate to justice.
Equal sentencing for males and females has always been a controversial subject, and it's not different in this case for male and female teachers. Statistical analysis reveal a significant difference in sentence length between men and women, but not in the expected direction. The hypothesis one would assume is that women are sentenced more harshly, but data show men receive longer sentences for sex offenses than women. For example, with Kenyon Rogers, the 45-year-old male, that pled guilty for continuous sexual abuse of a young child received a 30-year sentence. On the other hand, Erica DiPaolo walked out of court with no jail time or community service after having an inappropriate relationship with the male student. Critics have called the punishment too lenient for the female teacher, as well as reflective of double standards that disproportionately penalizes men for similar relationship with students. Men on average are sent to jail in more cases and receive longer sentences. Why? There's a perception that girls and women are to be protected and are more valuable than their male counterparts, as well as the willingness of the male student as opposed to the female student.
In 2010, Allison Mosbeck was sentenced to deferred adjudication and 10 years probation for having sex with the 14-year-old boy 3 times. After his arrest in 2011, Ernesto Montemayor pleaded guilty to an improper relationship with a student or sexual assault of a child 14 to 17. He was sentenced to serve 8 years in prison. In a sample report, 54% of male defendants went to prison, while only 44% of women did time after they were found to have conducted inappropriate sexual activities. In our current society, men are often viewed as the dominant aggressor, while women are mostly viewed as victims. Therefore, I believe there is a contrasting standard that people see when they hear about teachers' inappropriate involvement with students. When a 34-year-old female is arrested for having a sexual relationship with a 17-year-old male, the general replies are, "What's the problem here? This is every teenage boy's fantasy. Where can I see a picture of her? Who's the victim again? Where were these teachers when I was in high school?" But when a 34-year-old male gets arrested for having a sexual relationship with a 17-year-old female student, the replies are, "Where was the school and police during all of this? Why didn't the police or the teachers, parents, campus staff, or district administration see what was going on? Hang that pedophile from the highest oak." These are the sexist remarks that are said and taken into consideration during the sentencing process. This is not a fair practice that the justice system should continue to let happen. Wrong is wrong, and the gender of the defendant or their victims should not determine if one gender receives a higher conviction than the other. Gender is not the issue. Bad boundaries, harmful behavior, unethical conduct, and illegal sex acts with minors are the issues. The double standard as to how we perceive and prosecute these cases needs to stop.
We as individuals can make a difference and collectively make an effort to a meaningful change. Firstly, one of the simplest ways to have your voice heard is to contact your local representative and let your concerns be known about the unfair law practices against male teachers who are accused of having inappropriate relations with an underage student. Female teachers don't seem to have to follow the same laws that are written out against this type of behavior. According to Texas Penal Code 2112, an inappropriate relationship between educator and student is a criminal offense. Any inappropriate relationship between teacher and student in Houston could result in arrest. Under the law, it isn't necessary for the student to be enrolled in an educator's class for the under the age of 18 of the violator to occur. Recently, Governor Abbott signed a bill looking to crack down on this epidemic. In an interview about the new laws passed, he said, "Unbelievably, some of these teachers against whom these accusations have been made and actually been proven have faced no real consequences. So change is happening, and if we continue to support officials such as Governor Abbott, we can all overcome this epidemic and finally reach equality under the law."
We've gone through the issues of fair sentencing and teacher-student relationships, and we've offered a few ways that Houston can better deter these sorts of things from happening. Houston, along with Texas as a whole, has seen significant rise in teacher-student relationships, and they will continue to occur as long as we continue to do nothing about the situation as a community. There's several organizations that seek to help those who teacher-student relationships, and as a community, it is important that we support them in their cause. I've also listed the numbers of our representative, and it is on us to call and support those of legislation that could turn the tide in these kinds of cases.